This is the Dietitian Kitchen. Welcome to my kitchen. My name's Antrim Caskey. I'm the registered dietitian, nutritionist at Unity Care Northwest here in Bellingham, Washington. Today we are starting making videos about nutrition and cooking. This is hopefully going to be the first of many videos that we make that will then be a library resource of information that you can use to work toward better health. The essentials that we're going to look at today are knives, knife skills. So of course I've got a selection of knives here that I'm going to talk about, and of course you need a cutting board. There is a chef knife, which is the largest one that we're going to be looking at today. There's an intermediary version with a serrated edge. This is very good for bread and cutting rough things like pineapple. And then you have a paring knife. I have 3 varieties. These I picked up at thrift stores, which I think are so cute, and this is part of the set. Very handy, but if you had to pick just one knife, I would go with the chef's knife. It's an all-purpose knife. And of course, when we're talking about knife skills, you need the cutting board. So here's our great cutting board today. They're very almost leathery, very tough, so they stay good for a long time. I'm going to use this paring knife to devein it. The veins are pretty hardy, so I'm going to keep my one hand, just out of the way, but securing it. And then I'm going to use the point of the knife to run alongside of the stalk, the vein, to remove it. Just pull that out. And I've got one more here. I'm going to show you the chiffonade method of cutting, which I think some of these techniques, like this chiffonade method, can be really handy for enhancing the appearance of your food. I'm going to roll this up from the long end. And you can also do this with basil. This is how you would properly cut basil leaves, stack them on top of each other like this. And I'm going to utilize this, the butt of the knife, this thicker part, which is stronger. You keep the tip pointed down toward the board. I'm holding these with my left hand with my fingertips tucked under, so to protect them. And then using a sawing method, I'm going to cut 1/2-inch ribbons. And as I get closer, I obviously move my hand down and again keep the fingers protected. Continue making these cuts. Next, what we're going to look at is this beautiful red onion. So probably you're all familiar with the onion. How do you cut it? This is how I cut it. So there are 2 ends. This is what comes out of the ground, right, with all the green. And here is the root. So we want to start at the top end, and we want to remove the top. Now, it's kind of unstable, it's hard, so you want to get a good grip, get that claw going, and holding that securely with your fingertips protected, using that sawing motion, remove the top. Okay, then we want to cut it in half, and we want to dissect the root. And so this is another cutting method. You want to hold it from the sides and just cut right through. Okay, so now you see the root is intact on both sides. That's important. And this is going to be an easy way to cut your onion in kind of a uniform way. So I just peel back the skin there, and then holding it again with the claw and making these little cuts. Making them about 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch or so, like a diced, for a good dice. And then turn it around. We still got it all connected, but those slices are made. And now when we do the cross cut, again, using the claw to secure, 2, so about 5 slices, and you've got half your onion, and that's all that's left. Okay, so we're going to continue knife skill instruction with some celery. So let's see here. I normally normally would just chop this top off, and I'm gonna trim the bottoms as well. Okay. And then, since they're a little wobbly, I do like to turn them over, and holding the knife, holding the celery, taking the knife, dragging it in the middle there, coming across with two kind of even pieces. And this is a great way to show this good chopping. So we're gonna have to hold everything together with our claw, with our left hand if you're right-handed. And I'm gonna chop these in like 1/2-inch pieces. When you bring the knife down like there, you can feel that this thickest part of the knife, the heaviest part, the strongest part, is doing the lion's share of that work. Okay, so now what we can do is cut these in little strips. So again, take the claw, secure the food, tuck the fingertips underneath, and then with the sawing method, let's make kind of a julienne. Okay, the next thing we're going to chop is the carrot. Carrot's so easily accessible, affordable, and an excellent source of beta carotene. That's vitamin A. So let's attack this carrot. I don't want the end, so I'm going to trim the ends, and then I'm going to cut this in half to make it a little bit more manageable. So what we want to do first is bisect this. There we go. Okay. I use the sawing motion. So starting here, guiding it, crunching it. Okay, so I've got 3 strips. And then I would take these to dice. Okay, notice the sawing motion. Keep the fingers tucked in. They're way out of reach, but it's a good habit to stay in. Dice those babies up. Now, sometimes, that's one way to cook a carrot, cut a carrot for salad, but sometimes I do this. One of our very important tools of the kitchen, suitable for so many things, and I grate it. This is gonna have me grating left hand, so let's see how that goes. So it's just different. You could do it 2 ways to kind of increase the visual appeal of your salad. This is some cilantro. If you don't like cilantro, I highly recommend this, parsley, and even some basil. All are good. So this is a pretty big bunch, and I'm just gonna gently trim the bottom. You can use the stems. The stems are fine. Best not to waste anything. I'm gonna cut this in half, and I'm gonna mince this. Mincing is cutting something even smaller than dicing. Often you'll have to mince garlic. Let's mince these herbs. So get the correct position, tuck those fingers underneath, put that thumb underneath too, get it out of the way, make sure it's not in the way, and start, with a point there, and just with that sawing motion. And the smell, the aroma coming up right now is so delicious. Okay, now the dressing. So we're gonna start with some olive oil, and I try to use a small amount of oil in my diet because oil is the most calorically dense food on the planet, 4,000 calories per pound. It's just something to be aware of. Often we really don't need all the oil that's called for in a recipe, but here I'm gonna start with a 1/4 cup of olive oil, and I'm gonna make the dressing in this little jar. And then this is some apple cider vinegar. And I'm going to use about 1/8 cup of that, about half of that. And this is just a recipe for basic vinaigrette. And then I'm going to put a little salt in. Okay. And then a little, okay, so this is the easiest basic vinaigrette to make. Very easy. There are all sorts of things you can add to this. You can add a little mustard. Very, very good. I highly recommend that. You can add fresh herbs. So mince up some parsley, maybe chiffonade some basil, maybe some cilantro. Oh, look what we've got here. We've got maybe chop up some fresh rosemary or chives. And even here, and these are so easy to grow in your windowsill, fresh oregano and lemon oregano, I believe. So any herbs, whatever suits your flavor, fresh or dry, just put a little bit in your dressing. Here's our salad, and I'm mixing it up here and getting ready to put on this basic vinaigrette. Oh, it just is like, smells so good. Put this dressing on. I'm gonna dress the whole thing. It depends, if you like a real crispy salad, you can just dress a serving at a time, but I believe my camera person and I are gonna have this for lunch. It just tastes so good.